The studio lights were softer than usual that morning, casting a warm glow over the familiar set where laughter had lived for decades. The coffee mug sat untouched on the glass table. The band, usually lively, played a gentler tune, each note heavy with something unspoken. Everyone could feel it. This was not an ordinary broadcast. Kelly Ripa sat in her chair, posture straight but shoulders tense, as though she were bracing herself against an invisible wave. Across from her sat Mark Consuelos, calm on the surface, yet his eyes betrayed the storm beneath. They had shared this space for years, jokes whispered during commercial breaks, knowing glances when a story ran long, hands brushing as they passed cue cards. Today, however, the air between them felt fragile, as if one wrong breath could shatter it. The countdown reached 0. "Good morning," Kelly began, her voice bright out of habit. The words came automatically, polished by years of repetition, but something cracked at the end of the sentence, a tiny fracture that only those who truly knew her would hear. Mark smiled at her, the same smile that had steadied her through countless early mornings. "Good morning," he echoed. The cameras rolled, the red lights blinking like watchful eyes. Millions tuned in, expecting banter, warmth, maybe a funny story to ease them into their day. Instead, they found themselves witnessing something raw and unforgettable. Kelly took a breath. "Before we start," she said, fingers tightening around the mug, "there's something we need to talk about." The band fell silent, the crew stilled. Even the studio audience sensed the shift, leaning forward in their seats. "This show," she continued, "has always been about connection, about showing up as ourselves, even when it's messy, even when it's hard." She paused, swallowing. "And today is one of those hard days." Mark reached for her hand. She held on like it was the only solid thing in the room. For a moment, neither spoke. The silence stretched, uncomfortable and intimate, until Kelly laughed softly through her nose. "I promised myself I wouldn't cry," she said, eyes already glassy. "I made a whole plan." "That's never worked for you," Mark teased gently. The audience chuckled, grateful for the familiar rhythm, but the laughter faded quickly when Kelly's eyes filled with tears. "This man," she said, turning fully toward him, "has been my partner in every sense of the word. On this show, in life, in moments you never see on camera." Her voice trembled now. "And today, I have to say goodbye." The word goodbye landed like a stone dropped into water, rippling outward. Mark squeezed her hand. "It's not the end," he said softly, "just a change." Kelly shook her head, tears spilling freely. "I know, but that doesn't make it easier." She turned back to the camera, wiping her cheeks with the back of her hand, utterly unguarded. "For years, you've welcomed us into your homes. You've watched us grow, argue, laugh, fail, and try again, and you've loved us through it all." Her voice broke. "You deserve honesty." The audience was crying now, too. Somewhere behind the cameras, a producer dabbed at her eyes. Mark took a breath and finally spoke, his voice steady but thick with emotion. "This decision wasn't made lightly. This show has been a chapter of our lives we'll always treasure. But sometimes you feel a pull, a call to step into something new, even when it scares you." Kelly nodded, tears still falling. "I've always been brave on camera," she said, "but off camera, it's been him, always him, who reminds me I can do hard things." She laughed again, shakily. "Even this." The director hesitated, unsure whether to cut to commercial. Kelly waved him off with a small gesture. "No," she said, "let's stay." So they stayed. Kelly turned fully toward Mark, no longer performing, no longer hosting, just a woman saying goodbye to someone who shaped her world. "I remember our first show together," she said. "I was terrified. I kept thinking, what if we don't work? What if I mess this up? And you looked at me and said, we'll figure it out. We always do." Mark smiled, eyes shining. "And we did. We did," she repeated. Her voice softened. "You've been my anchor, my safe place, my loudest supporter and my toughest critic." She laughed through tears, usually during commercial breaks. The audience laughed again through sobs. Kelly took a deep breath, steadying herself. Saying goodbye doesn't mean letting go of everything we've been. It means honoring it.
Pulling Mark up with her. The audience rose to its feet, applause thunderous, emotional, unrelenting. Kelly wrapped her arms around him, burying her face in his shoulder. Her sobs were audible now, unfiltered, real. Mark held her tightly, whispering something only she could hear. The cameras captured it all, the trembling shoulders, the hands clutching fabric, the love that didn't need words. When they finally pulled apart, Kelly wiped her eyes and faced the camera once more. "I don't know what this show looks like tomorrow," she admitted, "but I know what today means. It means gratitude. It means love. It means acknowledging that some moments change you forever." Mark nodded. "And it means saying thank you," he added, "to every person watching, every person who believed in us, every person who made this journey unforgettable." Kelly reached for his hand again. "This isn't the goodbye I imagined," she said softly, "but maybe it's the one we needed." The director finally called for commercial. The band played again, this time tender, almost reverent. As the cameras faded, Kelly remained seated, hand still in Mark's. The studio buzzed quietly, but for her, everything else had gone still. Years flashed through her mind, first laughs, shared glances, late nights, early mornings, moments of doubt and triumph. When the broadcast returned, Kelly composed herself as best she could. Her eyes were red, her smile fragile, but she looked straight into the camera with unwavering honesty. "Thank you for letting us share this moment with you," she said. "Some days television is just television, and some days it's real life." The show ended not with laughter, but with something deeper, a collective understanding that viewers had witnessed something rare. Later that day, clips of the moment flooded the internet. Headlines called it unforgettable, heartbreaking, beautifully human. Viewers shared their own goodbyes, their own moments of change, finding comfort in Kelly's tears. But for Kelly, the moment wasn't about headlines or ratings. It was about standing in the place where so much of her life had unfolded, holding the hand of someone who had walked every step beside her, and having the courage to let the world see her heart break and heal at the same time. That night, long after the studio lights dimmed, Kelly sat quietly, replaying the day in her mind. The pain was still there, sharp and tender, but beneath it was something steady. Love doesn't disappear when chapters end, it transforms. And that unforgettable moment, when Kelly Ripa sobbed on air while saying goodbye to Mark Consuelos, became more than a farewell. It became a reminder that even in front of millions, vulnerability can be strength, and goodbye can be the beginning of something new.